tough. Our good producers were gone, the writers were gone, we had new staff, and they didn't quite get the show as well as the first people had, and the show stumbled to a close and we were canceled at the end of the 3 seasons. And then I was hired onto Mission Impossible. And I had some fun for a while. That's me with Leslie Ann Warren in one of the episodes, and I got to play this magician in Mission Impossible. I always wanted to be a magician as a kid, and here I was a magician on Mission Impossible. I had a good time doing it. It was interesting work. I got to play European dictators, South American dictators, Asian dictators. And then after a while, I got to be, again, European dictators, South American dictators. And I got kind of bored, frankly. And I said, I think I've had enough of this, please let me out. And they did. And then I went back to school to study photography. I began to wonder if I might change careers because I'd had more success than I ever expected as an actor. And I thought there's a career there for me if I wanted, but I want to explore this photography thing, which I had loved since I was a teenager. So I went to school and I studied photography and I started carrying cameras around. And since this was some of the early work that I did, that's a picture of my parents that I shot at that time. And very indicative of their nature. My mother was a very curious person. She would stop to look to see what was on the other side of that wall. My dad just kept right on walking. And this is a self-portrait that I did, which is now in the permanent collection at the Los Angeles County Museum. I have worked in various museums around the country, and in galleries around the country, and shows at various times. And then I went to Spain to act in a way. I decided to stay with the acting career. I realized that I didn't want to do commercial photography. I didn't want to be shooting fashion photography, cosmetics, and that kind of thing. I wanted to do what's known as fine art photography, which translates to you cannot make a living at it. So I stuck with the acting career. I went off to Spain to act in a western called Catlo with Yul Brynner. And this was me on the set with the director, Sam Waterman, on the left. And then carrying cameras in Spain. This was some of the photography work that I was doing at the time, landscapes and so forth. The street in Almeria on the southern coast of Spain where we were filming. And then I went on tour in a production of Fiddler on the Roof. I played Tevye. That's me on the East Coast doing Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. And then I went to Israel to work with Ingrid Bergman. This was interesting. This was a movie about Golda Meir, the lady who was the president of Israel. And I was asked to play this character who was her husband. And when I first was told about the role, I thought I wasn't totally attracted to it. He was a kind of tag-along kind of guy. Nice man, I'm sure. She was the power in the relationship. She said, I want to go over there and become part of that new nation. And he said, well, she thinks unless you're in Milwaukee, you know. And she said, well, I'm going. He said, okay, if you're going, I'll go too. And I was asked to play this role, and I said, I don't know that I know how to enter into that character. I don't know if I could figure out a way to play that character. And then they said, well, that's too bad because you're playing opposite Ingrid Bergman. I said, oh, I might be able to figure this out. One of the great actresses in films, and one of my favorite all-time movies, Casablanca. She was that wonderful leading lady in Casablanca, and so many other great films. Great actress, and I got to act with her in Israel. It was a great thrill. And then Invasion of the Body Snatchers. With Donald Sutherland and Jeff Goldblum. And then to Morocco, where I played Samuel, and here I am anointing David, the new king of the Israelites. So I had some interesting work to do. And then in 1977, I was on Broadway for the second time, this time in a production of Equus. Great play, 16 weeks of great thrill doing that role. I had a wonderful time doing it. And while I was doing it, I heard about this great new film, very exciting, big hit that had just opened, big crowd, and very successful film. And I went to the theater in the afternoon. I was working the play at night, went to a theater in the afternoon in Times Square. Gigantic theater packed with people screaming and cheering and having a wonderful time. They're watching a movie called Star Wars. All through the 70s, there was no Star Trek production being done. There was a hunger for Star Trek. Star Trek was very popular in reruns, and a lot of people wanted Star Trek to be produced, but there was no Star Trek being made for various reasons. And probably because the studio didn't think there was any money in it. You know, when they saw this big hit that George Lucas had with Star Wars, and I'm in the theater watching this gigantic hit, and I thought to myself, I think I'm going to be getting a call from Paramount Pictures pretty soon. And sure enough, they called us, and we went to work to make a movie. And there's the cast, assembled. Robert Wise, the director, on the left in the shirt, and Gene Roddenberry on the right, the producer, writer, and the rest of us, ready to go to work. And this was on one of the production days, with Bob Wise directing again, and Gene up top. And we made the movie, and it was large. We had a big budget, the movie was large. I don't think it was great, but it was large. We had great shots of the ship going by, like that. And there was another great shot of the ship going by, like that. Anyway. And it was Star Trek, the motion picture. There was no plan for any more. I mean, that when we made the movie. So, okay, well, that's done. And then I got a call, and I was asked would I be interested in doing another Star Trek movie, and for a much lower budget. And I thought, I want to squeeze this apple once more and get a little more juice out of it. And they said, how would you like to have a great death scene? Well, okay, this is probably going to be the last movie. Why not go out in a blaze of glory, saving the crew and the ship, and we did that. And I went to see that movie with an audience for the first time, and we come near the end of the film, and Scotty calls, Kurt calls down to Scotty in the engine room. Scotty, we need 4 minutes, we need warp speed in 4 minutes, or we're all dead. No answer from Scotty in the engine room. And Spock gets up, goes up to the elevator door. I know where he's going. He's going down to the engine room to save the ship and die. And I really didn't want to watch this, but I thought I'm going to sit right here in my seat. If I leave, people think I hate the movie. And it was a good movie. It was a good movie, very good movie. And I really think I made a terrible mistake letting myself die in this movie. And so we see the death scene, which was very moving. And then there's the eulogy, and Spock's tube is going down the rail, and Kirk is saying, for all the souls that I've met in my travels, his was the most human. And so they shoot the tube out into space and it lands on the Genesis planet. And then we see some footage that was never in the original script. We see the camera panning through some foliage and some mist, and it comes to rest on, guess what? The tube containing Spock's remains. And I thought, I think I'm going to be getting a call from Paramount. Sure enough, they called. We made, the next one was Star Trek 3, which I directed, and then they asked me to do another one, and I did Star Trek 4. And, this moment in Star Trek 4 came because one day when we were preparing the script, I was walking down Columbus Avenue in New York on a hot summer day, and suddenly there's this loud, very loud blast of bad rock music. And I take a look, and there's this punker carrying this big box on his shoulder, and he's got this thing blasting at an 11, you know. And I mean, just destroying everybody's tranquility on the street. Everybody's angry, including me. And I thought if I could pinch his brains out, I would. So that's how I got my back at him. I put this in the movie. And one of my favorite moments. And the movie was obviously, it's one of my favorite of all the Star Trek movies. I really enjoyed making it. I had a great time. And then I directed 3 Men and a Baby. I didn't know he directed that, did he? Yeah, saw it, and Gutenberg and Gaston and Miraculous Baby. We had a wonderful time making that movie. Had a great time. John Delancey and I got together for some projects called Alien Voices. We did some radio performances of various science fiction classics and had a great time. So all I wanted was to make a living as an actor. I did set out to be one more good one. I believe that being a good one is going to do it. Let's be as good as we possibly can. I had a great, great run. And honor, well, I do have 4 Emmy nominations and several Lifetime Achievement Awards and 4 honorary doctorates and plenty of popularity. It's great. It's been a great, great run. Popularity is great, but Victor Hugo reminds us that popularity is the crumbs of greatness. So keep your head in check. And do I have an identity issue? Of course. If somebody yells Spock on the street, it's my head that turns. You know? I have walked alone, seeking answers. I have lived alone, chasing dreams. I've tried to prove my worth to worthless judges. I have cried my pain in silent screams. I have been sometimes served a touch of kindness. I have wandered in golden fields of grace. I have been released by honest laughter. I have touched the western wall of the holy place. I have soared alone above the cloud heads. I have walked the deep, dark tunnels of the earth. I have dined with mystics and with prophets. I have heard the pain of woman giving birth. I have been sought after as a teacher. I have been refused the laurel wreath. I've heard the thunder blast of sunrise. I have watched the final touch of death. I have played the rules set by the master, though often I didn't understand the game. I have worn more masks than I remember. I have been a face without a name. And when, like you, I ask the final question, who on earth am I supposed to be? I always come full circle to the answer, me, only me, always me. I was at a party a while back, a bunch of Hollywood people, crowded room.